Good morning. So I want to talk about MySQL in WAMP server today. So now every website which is deemed to be dynamic is supposed to have a database for storage and also for retrieval of information from the clients. Now, for you to understand MySQL very well, you need to understand the basic principles of SQL. SQL is a standard language for accessing and manipulating database. It's quite common in database creation and also processing because it helps to access and also process the database. So what does SQL stand for? SQL basically stands for Structured Query Language. SQL lets you access and manipulate database. So SQL became a standard of American Institute of Standards (ANS) in 1986 and of the International Organization for Standardization (ISO) in 1987. So that's why SQL is dependent on ANSI ISO standard because of these two organizations which standardized SQL for database creation. So what can SQL do? SQL can execute queries against database, can also retrieve data from the database, can insert records in the database, can update records in the database, and also delete record from the database. SQL can create new databases, as we'll see later on, and can also create new tables in the database. We can have stored procedures in databases that can do a particular activity you want, and also SQL can create views in the database, can also set permissions on tables, procedures, and the views. So it's quite a very, very instrumental language that is used in the creation of what database. So some of the most important SQL commands as follows. I'm going to be using select, which extract data from the tables, specifically which identify the fields that you're looking for. There will be update, okay, which updates the database, and also there will be delete, which deletes the data from the database. Then you're going to also be using insert into if you want to insert values, okay, or new data in the database. There will be create database for creating database. You can also alter the database by changing certain fields or tables in the database. You can create a table, alter a table. You can also delete a table by using the drop table keyword. And you can also drop index by deleting an index, and also you can create an index in the search provision. So as you can see, these keywords are in uppercases. Most of the time, if you're using Microsoft Access, despite very case sensitive in this case, if you don't use uppercases for these keywords, you will discover that it won't run. But in WAMP, as we'll see later on in the console, you can easily use these keywords without taking care of the cases. So as we discuss this lecture, I want to look at how SQL can be used with respect to these keywords that I've looked at here. Let's look at the select statement. The select statement basically is used to select data from the database. And the data returned is stored in a resultant table called a record set. Here is the syntax. You say select to specify the fields you want. Then you also specify which table they are coming from. So the select and the from works together. Right? So basically, if you say select star from table name, this star or asterisk simply means we are getting all the fields from a particular table. Right? So what about the select where, or rather the where clause? How does it work? The where clause is used to filter records. Okay? Let's say, for example, you don't want everything in the database. You're just looking for a few things in the database. In this case, you're going to use the where clause, which is going to extract only things that you want. For example, here's a syntax. So first of all, you say select, you specify the fields you want. From the table, the fields that are coming from. Then under where, you put a condition. For example, you can say, I want all the employees, okay, from the employee table, whose basic pay is above 6,000. So it will only pick employees that get basic pay 6,000 above. Those that are less, it will not pick. So that's the purpose of the where, because it helps to get what you want, and the relevant information that you don't want to remain. And for also words such as and, or, and not operators, basically we use them in the where clause, okay, to combine certain operations. For example, the and the or operator are used to filter records based on more than one condition. So if you want to set more than one condition, then you must use the and or the or in the where clause. So we can see the and operator displays record if all the conditions separated by the and are true. So you can say, for example, basic pay above 6,000 and sex is equal to male, which means you're looking for only male employees, okay, who gets above 6,000 in the basic pay. Then the females and the rest won't be considered because of that combination. The not operator displays a record if the condition is not true. So for example, if you decide not to apply a particular condition, you expect, okay, to apply the not operator. Right. So here's the syntax. For example, select, you put all the fields you want from the table. Then you can put the condition 1 and condition 2 and condition 3. So the and combines conditions which will apply according to what you want. But you can also use the or in this case. You can repeat ors like this. Okay, the or means either of the conditions that you have specified should be true. It means either condition 1 is true, or condition 2 is true, or condition 3 is true, but not all the conditions are true. That's the purpose of the not. And we've got also other methods that are basically used, okay, to do some functions, some calculations on the data that is in database. We call them aggregation methods. We have the mean and the max functions. Basically, the mean, okay, function returns the smallest value of the selected column. And all these functions that we're talking about, they're only used after select clause. So the max function also returns the largest value of the selected item. So as you can see here, you can say select the mean, put the field name that you're looking for, and then you finish the rest of the data like this. So it means this is going to pick only the lowest from the given information. Same applies to max. Remember I said these aggregation methods or functions, they must be used only in the clause of select. You can't use them anywhere else apart from after the select clause. Okay, we've got more than the mean and the max. We've got other things such as count, average, and also sum. So the count function basically returns the number of rows that matches a specified criteria. So for example, you're counting how many employees are in this database. So you might use the count. The count will take care of the number of employees we are looking for. And then the sum, as we know it, returns the total sum of the numeric value. Okay, so this one adds, as the name suggests, it's a function of addition. Okay, so again, as I said, okay, all these count aggregation methods, they must be used in the select clause, including the average. Okay, they must be used in the select clause. Right. So now let's talk about the joins. We've got joins such as inner join. This join combines the tables so that you can get information from those two tables at once. So you can actually use the inner join, okay, from the from clause, okay, where you can specify to use, okay, the join. After the from, you can specify to use the inner join. Or you can also use it on the where clause, whereby the clause for where we cater for the join of the tables. So right now, what I want to do is, I want to demonstrate how to create a database in WAMP server, and also how you can create a table, how you can set values, and how you can filter the database that you have created in the WAMP server. And later on, as we discuss PHP, we'll look at how we can connect the same database to the PHP code that we'll look at later on. So at this moment, let's practice how to do the database in WAMP server. Okay, so right now, what you're seeing here is a WAMP server. So there's no password. I'm going to just enter so that we can quickly go to MySQL. So there are so many databases that you might like to work with in the WAMP server which you have created. So if you want to see databases that are there, then you have to use this code show databases. Then semicolon. Then you see a list of databases that are available in the WAMP server. So you can see there's information schema, there's my DB, there's my database, SQL, so on and so forth. So if you don't want to use any of these, like in this case, you're going to practice how to create a database, then you have to create your own by typing create database, then you specify the database name. So you can say my database. Okay, that is your database. You can say my database, then semicolon, then enter. So now this means, okay, the query is okay, and the database has been created. So a database, once it is created, you have to now create what we call the tables. All right, so for you to create a table in this database that you have created, you have to connect to it. Because there are so many databases in this, okay, WAMP server, so you have to connect to the database that you have created. So you say connect to my database. That. So as you can see, connection, okay, is successful. So now we are in your database that you have created. So in this way now, you can create a table. So let's create. So we say create table. In table name, you can say my table. Okay, then open bracket, you put the fields. You can say the ID there, which is you can call it int, and it's a primary key. You can say name, varchar. Okay, you can specify maybe 15. Okay, then from there, specify 6, varchar, and put maybe 5. I think for now, let's just end here. Okay, let's just put few code there. Close the bracket, semicolon, then press enter. Right, so the query is okay, the table has been created. So if you want to see the table which is created, you can type show tables. Okay, then to show you. So in this database, you have one table called my table. So now you can insert a value there. Insert value. can set data in this table. So we can say insert into my table. Then there's ID there, comma, there's name, comma, and there's also set bracket. Then you can put value. Okay, you can put values. Then what I'll put in there, you can say 25 on the ID. ID is the integer. Then the name, you can set Peter, comma, then this is male. So okay, so the data has been done well, right? So again, we can enter another one, another part there. So I'm going to just fill it up. So I'm going to just change here. Instead of putting 25, I'll put 30. Then I'm going to change, I'll put Perry there. There, put female. Okay, the clear has been done. I'm going to enter another one. This time I'm going to change here. The ID will be 35. Then the name will be Queen, female. Semicolon. So the data has been entered. We have entered 3 records in that database table. So now we can see what we have entered in this table. So I'm going to type select. Okay, remember we said you have to use the star. This one, select the star from what is the table that we have created. Is my table. Okay, so the table has been shown there. So we have entered 3 people there. There's Peter, Perry, Queen, like that. So now we can now try to practice how to filter the database. So for example, I'm just looking for female, okay, female users in this table. So I'm going to type select. I'll type select everything, okay, from my table. Then I'll say where, okay, where sex is equal to female. I just want to get female users from this table. Okay, so as you can see, we misspelled female when we were entering data. So let's just repeat this. And then you just remove, because we said female was 5. If you remember, we specified the sex is 5. So female was 6 letters. That's why it was failing to show us female, because what you have in the table has only 5 letters, which we specified in the under sex as VARCHAR 5. So it's better to increase, to put a bigger number so that you can accommodate even words that have got so many characters. Okay, so in this case, the table that is shown there is only 2 who are female in this case. Right. So you can actually update your table. You can also delete something from the table. So there's so many ways you can actually handle this database in the WAMP server using this application. So now this WAMP server helps us to manipulate the database in the server and also able to access it. Right. So if you want to exit, you can just basically type exit, and then the WAMP server will tell you bye. Okay. So now what you have just demonstrated to people is how to work with the WAMP server and able to do a lot of things in it. So I want you now to practice this, and next time that we meet, we'll like to look at how to get PHP, which should be connected later on to the WAMP server. Right, goodbye.